Hello and welcome to this week's spelling lesson for year 3 and 4. We're learning two words today. The first is potatoes, the second is possible, and we're looking at the spelling rule for adding S or ES. To warm ourselves up, we're going to give ourselves a mini spelling test. I want you to look at these question words on the screen for 20 seconds and then I'm going to take them away and you're going to try and write them. So the words are when, what, why, who, where. Pause if you need to stare at them for longer. I'm going to take them away now. Okay, here are the words again. Write them down. When, what, why, who, where. How did you do? Check your own spellings. If you spelt any of those incorrectly, can you practice them at home, please? Because these are words we should know how to spell in year 3 and 4. Let's move on to today's spelling rule. Today we have got the word potatoes to learn, and we're going to look at the end of that word now in detail because we're thinking about the rule for adding S or ES to words ending in an O. Now, if a word ends in a vowel, and our vowels, remember, are A, E, I, O, U, if the word ends in a vowel and then O, then we sometimes just add S. For example, radio ends in I-O, a vowel and then an O, and that word becomes radios with just an S added onto the original word. Same thing happens here with stereo. That becomes stereos with just an S. And video, EO at the end, and we just add an S. Now, if a word ends in a consonant and an O, so all the other letters in the alphabet, apart from A, E, I, O, U, are consonants. If you have a consonant and then the O, we sometimes add S, but we sometimes add ES. And there isn't really a rule for when we do one and when we do the other. You just have to learn them. There aren't that many of them. You just have to learn them, or you have to look them up in a dictionary if you're writing that word in a sentence and you're not sure. So here are some words. So for example, kilo ends in a consonant, L, and then an O, and we just add an S to make it plural, kilos. The word piano ends in a consonant with an O, and we just add an S to make it plural, pianos. Zero, useful maths word, we just add an S, zeros. Photo, same thing, just add an S. But think about hero, useful English word, we add ES to this one, heroes. Volcano, useful science word and geography word, we add ES to this one as well, volcanoes, ES. Tomato becomes tomatoes with ES, and you can see the word toes in there, like the toes on our feet, which is spelled T-O-E-S. And the same thing for one of today's focus words, potato, we add ES to make it potatoes. Let's look at that word potatoes in greater detail. I have split it into 3 chunks. Pot, P-O-T, A, just the letter A, and toes, like the toes on your feet, T-O-E-S. Take a picture of it with your brain and then we're going to practice spelling it. Ready? Let's go. Write down the first part of the word, pot. You should have written P-O-T. How do we spell the A part of potatoes? Just the letter A and the ending toes, like the toes on your feet, T-O-E-S for this word. Rub off what you had or fold it over and copy the correct spelling from this choice of 4. You should have picked that one, P-O-T-A-T-O-E-S. Rub that off and finish the word. I've given you pot. How do we write ATOs? Just like that, P-O-T-A-T-O-E-S. Can you write it backwards? Looks like this, see a tatop. Can you make a different word out of the letters? If you manage to make a different word, tell me the longest word you made in your dojo. Comment back to me. And finally, without looking at anything you've written so far, can you write the word potatoes from memory? Hopefully you spelt it like this, P-O-T-A-T-O-E-S. Remember, you can pause this video at any time to give yourself more time to think and write. Right, we don't have a spelling rule for the next word. It's just one of those words that we have to learn to spell from the national curriculum for year 3 and 4. And that word is possible. Okay, let's think about what possible means, what the word class is. Let's put it in a sentence, pick the odd one out and trace the word on your hand. So pause the video and give yourself a few minutes to look at all of those features of this word and then join me on the next slide. The definition of possible is, if something is possible, it might happen or it might be true. The word class is adjective. It's a describing word. It comes from, originally, Latin, from a Latin word posse, which means to be able. My sentence is, it is possible that someone has stolen the money. That means somebody could have stolen the money. The odd word out, quite tricky this week, quite a grown-up word, it's inconceivable. If something is inconceivable, it means you can't conceive it happening, which means it is not possible that it could happen. It's unthinkable, okay? The other three words, likely, imaginable, and feasible, all mean the same thing as possible. They could happen. And hopefully you've traced the word on your hand using our cursive script. Let's practice spelling the word. I've split the word possible into two chunks, pos, and you can hear that double S when you say possible, P-O-S-S. The ending of this word, ible, that's the tricky part to spell because it's tempting to use A-B-L-E, able, which is a suffix that we've learnt before, able. It isn't able, it's ible, possible. Okay, if you say the word, you can hear the I sound in there. So take a picture with your brain of the two chunks, pos, ible, and let's practice spelling it. Pos, how do we spell that part? P-O-S-S. And ible, how do we spell ible? I-B-L-E, possible. Rub off or fold over what you wrote before and copy the correct spelling from this choice of 4 words. The correct one is the first one, possible, P-O-S-S-I-B-L-E. Cover that up and let's move on. Finish the word this time. I've given you po. How do you write Sybil? S-I-B-L-E. Well done. Cover it up. Write it backwards. You should have ended up with Elbisop. Can you make a different word from the letters in possible? Let me know if you found a long word. And finally, write the word from memory, possible. Hopefully you spelt it P-O-S-S-I-B-L-E. If you did, give yourself a pat on the back. You can spell possible. I would love it if you could put both of this week's spelling words, potatoes and possible, into a separate sentence each. Try and use an interesting sentence structure. Could you use a conjunction? Could you use a fronted adverbial? See what you can do and post your words to me on your sentences to me on Class Dojo. Thank you for joining me for this week's spelling lesson, and we will learn some new words next week. Bye for now.